Welcome, little one. This is your first day. Your designation will be RP-01/138. We expect great things from you. You have been born into dangerous times. A sharp mind can be the key to survival. But as often as not, it will be your inherent physical traits that win the day. And in this regard, you will be superior to your more common brethren. For you are a commando, an elite unit, something truly special. Your weapons, your armor, and most importantly, your brothers.
All right, men. Listen up.
Delta Squad, form up.
Forming up, boss.
What is up, my fellow Republic Commandos? It is your boy Trey of the Bat Channel. We are live once again from a galaxy far, far away, talking about the most recent premiere of one of Star Wars' biggest hit series, Andor. It's back, season 2, ladies and gentlemen. But as you kind of saw from our watch party reaction, the panel is a bit mixed. I don't think it quite hit the mark of what we were expecting. There's some good, there's some bad. I did a lot of digging on this on these 3 episodes as well. Found some really cool Easter eggs that I almost am surprised they didn't focus on those things more. So, without further ado, you guys know, you already know. You can follow us on one of our social media pages, like TikTok. TikTok? It's a new app I'm creating.
I love TikTok.
TikTok
If
is
you haven't
great.
downloaded TikTok, it's great.
If you haven't done TikTok, Instagram, or Twitter at _Bat Channel.
I think you meant X too.
X, yeah, I gotta change that logo. Everything's different now. Good grief.
Although they may switch that to TikTok.
TikTok, maybe I'll go back to TikTok. I'm just creating ideas left and right. You know me. or you can follow us on Facebook if you're still over there at Holy Bat Channel. So you guys know we do a lot of great posts over on Instagram, just letting you know about all the entertainment news you possibly could want, from Jurassic Park, Star Wars, Godzilla, video games, movies, yada, yada, yada. Just do it. Follow us there. It's awesome. And then, of course, it helps us out so much when you smash that like, you share this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Replay crew, once you watch this after our live stream, go ahead and comment all the way throughout. I love hearing you guys' theories, your takes, as we're going through all 3 episodes. I really had to consolidate. I feel like there was a ton of fluff in some of these episodes. So I try to pick out what some of the major plot points were and some of the big things you guys missed in the 3 episodes as we gear up for the next watch party that we have coming up Tuesday for episodes 4 through 6. So without further ado, follow us. You know what to do. Get us to 10K. Get us to 10K subs. We can't do it without you guys putting in the work. So thank you. And then, of course, check out some of our previous videos. We have some really great stuff. One of our videos is cranking off. You guys are just loving it. The Predator Badlands trailer reaction, which I am super stoked. There's so much I caught from that trailer after rewatching it that I'm blown away by that Predator movie. It's definitely bumped up into one of my top 5 most anticipated films now that I see more of it. So don't miss any of those videos. So hit that notification bell. And then, of course, we got to talk about the 20th anniversary of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, which yours truly, Super Bro Corey, went to go see with some friends. I'm hoping to see it tonight. Guys, they are saying that this movie will be the biggest re-release in box office history. They're expecting a $30 million plus weekend. That's insane. Can you imagine that? Like $30 million. It's huge for a movie that's been out for 20 years. I think Jaws only did, when they re-released Jaws, I think like 5 years ago, I think it only did like 15, maybe 12, something like that. Not even half of what Star Wars might pull in. Crazy. Let's go ahead and bring in, because you guys heard me talk about him, Super Bro Corey.
Yeah, buddy.
My man.
What's
We
up,
went
my
to go
friend?
see it. What was it like after 20 years? You and I, we saw it together in theaters 20 years ago.
Yeah, dude, it was a blast, man. I had actually a lot of fun rewatching it on the big screen. But man, it hit harder this go around for sure. Because I was thinking about it. This was the first time that I've seen episode 3 since I've watched Clone Wars, and like just knowing where it all left off, how just before that, as he's flying off, he left Ahsoka for the last time, and all these different things that I knew about the background after watching Clone Wars hit hard. As well as watching, Tales of the Jedi as well. I may have eased up a little bit on my dislike for Obi-Wan some, and like really turned the hatred into the Jedi Council. I feel like Obi-Wan still could have done more, but I was really just like mad at Mace Windu again. So great time. The theater was packed, which is pretty impressive for my town, because I live in a small town. The theater only has five showings a night, or five or six showings. So it's pretty impressive how many people are there for it. A lot of people were, kind of laughing and, saying some of the lines and such like that. And
were they really?
Yeah, you're gonna or would giggle when they would say, this is where the fun begins, or Master Skywalker, what are we gonna do? You're gonna have to let me know how your group responds to it, because there's definitely maybe a little maybe a little too many giggles going on.
Was that you giggling, Corey?
No, it actually wasn't.
Master Skywalker, what are we going to do?
Yeah, no, it actually wasn't. No, but I saw it with a bunch of buddies, and we enjoyed it quite a bit. So had some good conversations afterwards, and it's just wow that 20 years ago, when we saw it to now, it's just insane that we're already at the 20th anniversary of Episode 3. Still a great movie. Still holds up.
Is there anything that, like, when rewatching it, you were kind of like, oh wow, I didn't quite realize that until like many years later, or like something that maybe you took from it differently than last time?
Like I said, I have eased up off of Obi-Wan. That's probably the biggest thing. The biggest thing that I've done. The council is definitely still at fault and everything like that. And like there's that pivotal moment where, like, I could get around a lot of the other things that happens, but that moment where he does do what's right, and he goes and tells Mace Windu about Emperor Palpatine, and like gives him heads up, hey, this is the Sith Lord that we're looking for, and he says, I need to go with you to help. I still think if he would have said, you know what, you're right, let's have you come with us and arrest him, he would have seen what he would have done, instead of walking in on Mace Windu about to kill him. And I also think Mace Windu making the choice to go against the Jedi way and to destroy him because he's too evil. Sure, I understand that thought process, but by the Jedi not doing the Jedi way in the most critical moments is, I think, a big contributor to Anakin's fall as well. Like, there's constantly a are we following this code? Are we not following this code? And like, the only one it seems like who has to follow this code is Anakin Skywalker, and they're always being super hard and tough on him, even though he's technically, what everybody keeps telling him, is the chosen one. So in my opinion, they handled his training very poorly, and the council let him down still to this day. I will never
never giving it up, huh? You're sticking to it.
Yeah,
I can respect that. But hey, glad to hear that Star Wars Revenge of the Sith is doing so well for its re-release. Like that, it's quite moving. And I feel like when that movie first came out, it kind of got some hate. I think just the prequel trilogy in general
1, 2,
got some
and
hate.
3 all got hit. Yeah. It was the prequels, man. It was people didn't like some of the cheesy lines that George Lucas put in there. It's understandable, the people do goof off at some of the weird stuff that they say, doesn't make sense, or the no at the end and such like that. There's some goofy spots, but dude, I think the best part about rewatching it was hearing John Williams on the big screen again in that fantastic sound system. My group was the only ones that stayed to the very end, listening to every little bit of John Williams as we possibly could. Man, it was a great time.
That makes me happy, man, because it is one of Williams' best scores. I mean, the Battle of the Heroes is one of the greats. It's up there with Duel of Fates for sure. But Corey, let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and bring in our Delta Squad member himself, ladies and gentlemen, Lord Koj.
Boom.
Hey. Thanks for having me back. Oh, just chilling.
Glad to have you back. Out of curiosity, do you remember last time you saw Star Wars Revenge of the Sith in theaters?
Yeah, it was when it was in theaters when it first came out. I didn't see any re-release. I didn't see this one yet. If I can make it tonight, I will. But it's been that long.
Nice. Man, it's just It's crazy. It's crazy that 20 years later, that makes me feel old because we actually saw it on my birthday. So that would have been February. I would have been 11. I think I would have been 11. Yeah. So crazy to imagine that 20 years passed by.
I also thought about your question a little bit more, Trey.
Okay.
Another thing, the other big thing that first time I ever really noticed. Palpatine says he wants Anakin to go on this mission, right, to track down General Grievous, right? And then the council gets all upset, like, "Hey, yo, he doesn't tell us. Palpatine doesn't run the council. He doesn't tell us who gets to go, who doesn't get to go." So they're like, yeah, only a master should go, which was kind of a dig at Anakin as well. And they're like, yeah, let's send Obi-Wan Kenobi to go. Well, cool, send Obi-Wan Kenobi, but let's do what we do every single time in the series before, which is send Anakin Skywalker with him. So, okay, cool. We got Obi-Wan and Anakin there. You know, I think it would have turned out completely different at that point. So that was one thing I was like, oh man, that's actually pretty shitty. You know, not only was he requested to go, but since you hate Palpatine and you disrespect Anakin so much, you're going to still send his buddy Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you caused the separation as the council. You caused the separation of him, and now he's like all by himself in his thoughts. If he would have gone on the mission with him, he would have been, the same old Anakin that we've seen throughout the Clone Wars, where he's defeating. He would have been super pumped to have defeated Grievous with Obi-Wan, and it would have been done.
That's true, because they've had such a huge track record in the Clone Wars of being a dynamic duo, especially their last one saving the Chancellor during the attack on Coruscant.
Why are we changing it now? Like all of a sudden at the very end, like why are we changing it now? We feel like it's close. We feel like you told us to spy on, Palpatine. We think something is going on. So, like, why are we changing up the formula now? So stupid of the council. The council failed.
Well, yeah, I think that fact that we still debate, like, what could have, prevented it is just a testament for how good that movie is. We're just still constantly thinking, and just even some of the last minute changes George Lucas made, like when Obi-Wan cuts off Anakin's legs and he's, falling down towards the lava, and he says, you can see him mouth it, "Help me, master." But they didn't. They took it out because it didn't quite fit the moment. It made Obi-Wan look worse, but that's how it originally broke out, right? So I think it's cool to see that we still debate Revenge of the Sith, but for another time, we'll do some more what if scenarios with Revenge of the Sith, because I think Corey and I could go all day about it. But let's go ahead and get
before we move on, Trey. Before we move on, we got to shout out Trevor Age. She says, "Do it, SBC, like a bantha," with a $5 super chat.
My man, like a bantha. Give it to him, Super Bro.
Here you go, buddy.
Like a bantha. Yes.
That's still one of the greats, man. I love that so much. Are you guys ready to get into some Andor and talk about this season 2 premiere?
Yeah.
I think so, buddy.
Okay. So like I said, we're going to keep it as quick as possible. Each episode was right about 50 minutes long. I think the second episode was the shortest at like 44 minutes. So it felt like there was a lot of fluff. I'm going to try to keep it to what was most important about each episode that maybe you guys didn't get across or take away from it, because there was so much silliness and fluff. But that being said, let's go ahead and talk about episode 1 year later. First off, these first 3 episodes, I kind of like how Andor is doing it. Each 3 episodes is basically a mini movie, and there's a main writer on it and a main director. For these first 3 episodes, the showrunner himself, who handled all of season 1 of Andor, who also did the screenplay to Rogue One, Tony Gilroy, he wrote the first 3 episodes. And then it was directed by Ariel Kilman, who, as far as I can tell, he hasn't done a ton. He's kind of new. He's an up-and-coming director. But that's the surprise, because some of the cinematography was especially good, and that comes a lot from the directing there. So kudos to him. But let's go ahead and talk about episode 1 year later. We know that it takes place a year after the events of Felix, because we even get the ceremonial Ferrix Anvil gong that plays in the beginning of the episode, and we're told that it's 4 years before the Battle of Yavin. So that gives you an idea, a picture of before Rogue One, essentially. We know that Cassian has disguised himself as a test pilot to steal a new TIE fighter prototype from one of the main Sinar fleet systems, which is pretty cool, because that's in the Star Wars Legends as well. But his contact, Naya, who he had on the inside, she's feeling the heat of the moment. And one thing that we can say about Andor for a show, whether you love it, hate it, or you don't really feel like it's Star Wars, the dialogue in this show has been so great. And Cassian kind of convinces her, or at least comforts her with his words about what her death will mean if it comes to that, why they have to take down the Empire. Super Bro Corey and Koj, for the reasons that Cassian gives her, basically saying like, hey, like, this is like, your nervousness is validated. All of this is like, you know, you're coming down to, it's okay that you're feeling this way and that you're unsure if that your death is going to be worth it. We obviously know what happens in the long run, and how this one person, Naya, was a small piece in lighting the fire for the rebellion. How do you feel about Cassian's words, and especially what he has done in Rogue One when he takes out some of his contacts because, you know, for the greater good? We know that his hands aren't always clean, but he tells her and comforts her and says, what you're doing is the right thing. What do you think about his answer, his response to her, to comfort her and to give her maybe that possible satisfaction that her death will be worth it, will mean something for this cause?
I think he gave her enough hope. I think he's getting better at it from where he began. Where is it, what, in Andor season 1 we saw, you know, he was quick to go to a vacation, you know, and get away from stuff. He's as he's going more and more understand the sacrifice and also the dirty things he has to do, and that's even going to be more tested. He's fine-tuning what he believes as in giving hope to people, and I think he handled it very, very well. Yeah, it's and what's cool is that with this new director, he did focus a lot on their physical reactions to it, her eyes, her focus, the scare, the admiration in his words. He's really showing he's more than just giving good words. He's also showing his leadership capabilities too, because, you know, we saw Rogue One, his ending. So all these little tiny stepping stones just to get the job done and hand it to the next person to do a job and pick up the torch where he left off, that's huge. So I foresee him giving more of these things to other people that will probably show up for a little bit of time, but their sacrifice or their contribution is going to mean a lot. And he's pretty much narrating his progression and handing whatever fruits of knowledge he gets up along the way on this journey of his. So I foresee, and I hope we get even more of these as he comes along with so many different people, because he's all across the board doing this, you know what I mean?
I agree. Corey, your thoughts?
Yeah, real quick, I would just say that the biggest thing that I thought of was like, hey, this is a war, you know, this is the real start of the resistance. This is a sacrifice, and they all have had to make sacrifices. Everybody, Andor, Mon Mothra.
Sorry, man. I'll forever mess it up.
But everybody has had to make a sacrifice. You know, Andor could be easily off, you know, doing whatever he wants with the riches he's won, and just living high, you know, like, and not worried about what's to come, and live his life how he chooses. Lutherans, I sacrifice every single day, you know, his speech from last year. My Mothra giving up her daughter in an arranged marriage and everything like that. So it's like, as well as all the other characters from season 1, they all have given up and sacrificed what their lives in some way or the other. So you either believe in it enough to be 100% in, which means you may sacrifice yourself, or you don't even bother showing up.
Hey, Charlotte, welcome. Yeah, no, I think that's some great points. And from what people are saying, like of what we saw from Cassian last year, like you mentioned, Koj, there was moments he had no reason to join the rebellion. He didn't care for the Empire. I don't think anyone would say they're like, other than people who are involved in the Empire are digging the benefits and the rewards from it. But Cassian didn't. You never got the sense from the first season until the very end that he felt a connection or a motivation to be a part of the rebellion, and until the Battle of Felix or the uprising, I should say. And to see him now, he's in it, right? Like he's trying to tell this person like that he probably coursed into it a little bit. He probably used a little bit of motivation and words. I mean, we see I loved how he kind of had this James Bond thing going on where it's a bit flirtatious. It's a bit mysteriousness and he's working into it, right? She's even saying like, hey, she thinks you're cute and stuff. So there's definitely that espionage side of him that's using it to manipulate people in some certain way. But I think he's being honest and truthful when he's saying like, whatever happens, we can't let the Empire win. And if we are a chess piece, a pawn in that, and we happen to fall to win the overall board game, then that's worth it enough. And I do like that he kind of says, I'll see you down the line, like whether it's this live or the next kind of thing, so I thought that was a very powerful moment for sure. And we get a great little action sequence in the beginning as he's trying to figure out this prototype TIE Avenger, which is actually from Star Wars Legend and was designed to be heavily armed and equipped with shields. It was notably faster than the Interceptor, which we all know the Interceptor. If you ever played any of the Star Wars Battlefront games, the Interceptor was one of the fun ones to fly because, yeah, baby, you were going fast and you could move around, weave between the ships. It was great. But it was also a very expensive ship. And this kind of tells you from Star Wars Legends maybe why this particular prototype didn't go in mass development, because Cassian stole it. So I kind of thought that was just like a cool little Easter egg from it.
Yeah, it was that ship was super interesting. Like it also had 3 seats, which was interesting as well. Which I don't know what the purpose of it being a 3-seater. Like clearly that those don't have shields on them, so it's like it's not like a true transport ship, which I thought was interesing. So
it was more used for fighting. Yeah, so it was kind of interesting.
I was curious if like the ship is supposed to be run by a 3-man team or something along those lines, or what. So that was a fun scene of him trying to get up. It reminded us of, like we talked about in the episode, that it was a very brought us back to the Battlefront games or any Star Wars game where you fly into the ship and start shooting at people. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and especially the simple fact of I loved the realism of it. It's a prototype. He's not really that much of a pilot himself until we get to him in Rogue One. We start to see the better pilot that he becomes, but here it wasn't like I got into a ship and I knew exactly how to fly it. He's like,
these controls were different than anything we've really seen before. So in Star Wars, so it was different in that sense as well.
It'd be kind of cool if it was like designed to be like a mini cargo ship, or even drop like an elite task force, or have like one person man extra guns because it has so many shields, and one person navigate computers and communications, so it could handle dishing out a great offensive while getting in quick and out people or whatever. So maybe it had like specific different kind of features it could have explored too. I
Well,
know.
like
When you
like
break
some of
traditions, you know.
100%, like some of the two-seater, F-18s or a CERN airplane that I love. But let's with the F-14, but let's stick to the F-18 for a second. With the double-seater, you can easily, like in Top Gun Maverick, they had one person that was doing the targeting, and then Maverick was flying, and then Maverick still had to pull the trigger. So maybe in this thing, one person's the flyer, one person's the targeter, and one person's like shooting different things, hitting up everything as one. They're all working in unison, but that'd be pretty tough to manage with like 3 people in a ship. I could imagine.
Yeah, potentially for sure. But he gets away. And is on his way to get to the rendezvous point. But now we get to the whole Mon Mothma, and I feel like Mon Mothma has still, throughout this entire series, been like this underlying just like force of nature. Just like she is easily one of the best characters in this entire show. And it's especially because you realize in a way, I feel like it is a great thing to be like to know what is going to happen with some of these characters from Rogue One and beyond, like with Mon Mothma, and see the sacrifices that they're going to have to make, and it's setting that up for sure. But the performances that we get from Mon Mothma, I love that it's this two-faced kind of thing, and I don't mean two-faced in like a negative way towards her, but it's the fake smile that she's playing this part of like, oh, happy marriage, oh, my daughter's getting married, and and trying to keep the face and the presentation that everything is fine. But as soon as she thinks no one's looking, she's on her mission, she's on what she truly cares about, the face changes, right? It's immediate from flipping the coin, and she's on the mission to figure out how to stop the Empire, but also how to help the rebellion. And she realizes that her walls are kind of closing in on her. Like she's gonna be backed into her corner soon, and to have to really decide how committed she wants to be to this rebellion and what it's going to cost her, from her family, from her status amongst the Galactic Republic. Even though we know the Emperor is pretty much pulling the strings on a lot of the things. But what the great part is one, we get to see her home world finally, Kendrilla, first time in live action, but we also get to meet her aide, Erskine Samaj, who also appeared in season 3, episode 18 of Star Wars Rebels, the secret cargo episode where they're actually the ghost crew, the main characters of Star Wars Rebels, are helping Mon Mothma escape from Coruscant to get to Dantooine. So it's like a very cool connection, little Easter egg tap of the nod there. And we learned that this character is actually, he was born on Naboo, his father is Kendrillian, but his mother is from Gorman, which is setting up this big moment in season 2. They've been teasing it throughout, and it's about to get crazier. We'll hold on to that for a moment. Keep remembering Gorman. Gorman is the big theme that you want to take away from episode 1. But we also see Tay Kolma and Belsara, and we see Tay is a bit rattled, right? He is not the same guy we met before. Does not seem like the close friend to Mon Mothma, her ally, that we were maybe hoping he would turn out to be. He's feeling the weight of the world. He's feeling the weight of his divorce. He's feeling the weight of being put on the spot, and also potentially in the scope of the Empire. And Mon Mothma is starting to catch on that maybe their relationship is starting to go sour. So I see we have a $10. What is that? Is that Corey? Is that a euro? I always mess up the symbols. I'm used to the US dollar, and that's it.
I think that's euro.
Euro.
Yep, euro.
Ryan coming in with a $10 euro. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Saying love Andor, but it's playing the dangerous game of juggling multiple story threads at once. That's extremely hard to do, and these last episodes were slightly jarring. I completely agree with you, and I think 3 episodes was too much. They had to fluff it up a little bit, and I think they really, if they wanted to, they could have gotten it done in 2 episodes, 2 45-minute episodes, and we would have gotten the really important information we needed, and we didn't have to throw Cassian on some planet with a bunch of rebel factions that were just a complete disaster. Yeah,
Put Andor on standby, bro. Like, how do you put like the Cassian, the main character, on standby? I get there's a lot of stuff to keep track of, but that was just wild to me. But thank you so much, Ryan.
Corey, can you play Ryan a little something to say thank you?
In honor of the 20th anniversary, I think we gotta play this.
The time has come. Execute Order 66.
Well, it's certainly, the Emperor's up to no good, and as we learn from Krennic's, if you guys don't remember, Krennic was the bad science officer who was leading the Death Star building, the engineering of the Death Star, and we learn that he, on this Malthine Divide, is having a secret council meeting with all the officers who were selected by him for a renewable energy initiative. Now, this actually refers to a moment in the Star Wars prequel novel for Rogue One called The Catalyst by James Luceno, which notes Galen Erso's, who was played by Mads Mikkelsen, the father of Jyn Erso's character, his Project Stardust, where he believed he was working on sustainable clean energy, not the Death Star. So it just shows the secrecy, but not only that, the manipulation, the lies that the Emperor was especially spinning, because he says that anyone who breaks word about this energy material that we're trying to take, like you're gonna go straight to the Emperor about it. You're gonna be made known to him, and he's gonna make an example out of you. So it just shows that he was pushing this idea to the Galactic Republic. We're gonna find renewable energy sources. Trust me, we're gonna take this Galactic Empire and we're going to become the strongest force of power. When really he was creating the most powerful weapon known to the galaxy at that time. And they're going to do that through harvesting the minerals, calcite, that is going to be used to coat the reactor lenses. Now, I thought, this was kind of interesting because in that meeting from the council there, we learned that if they do harvest this calcite, it could damage the planet's core, which is kind of a similar thing that we saw in Man of Steel with the Kryptonians. Which when I heard that, I was kind of like, oh yeah, that's kind of a similar concept right there. And the reason why I bring up Zack Snyder is not because we enjoy Zack Snyder's movies, obviously, but is I feel like there was a few kind of things that notable references that we saw to other Zack Snyder sci-fi movies. I was kind of like, oh, that's cool. Like, you're seeing all the inspirations that are taken. I felt like a lot of season 1 was kind of Blade Runner. This, I kind of got another movie that we'll talk to you guys about in a moment. But the big thing about this, we get this great propaganda thing. If our boy Savage Bat was on, he'd be like, just like World War II with the Nazis. The Gorman massacre. Now this is going to be huge. This is the thing that you guys are going to want to keep in track of, because they teased it in the first season. They were talking about how there's kind of an uprising going on in Gorman, and now we know that the Imperial interest in Gorman goes beyond even the silk from the little propaganda video that we saw. But as mentioned in Star Wars Legends books, especially in the in-universe book of The Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire, we know that the Gorman massacre happens 2 years before the Battle of Yavin, and it is the pivotal moment in Star Wars rebellion history, right? Because this is the moment where the Imperial Army opened fire on peaceful protesters, which was carried out by none other than Captain Wolhuff Tarkin, who is soon to become Grand Moff Tarkin, right? That handled the Death Star. So this event is what convinced Senator Bail Organa and Senator Mon Mothma to join forces and to deliver the declaration of the Rebel Alliance speech to the Galactic Republic, which unified all of the rebel factions and cells under one. But it also made Mon Mothma basically the public figure for the Rebel Alliance, because she called out the Emperor, calling him a liar and that he needs to be taken down, and that Captain Wolhuff Tarkin needed to be arrested for his crimes on Gorman. But what happened instead was the Emperor said, screw you, he gets a promotion because he did what I told him to do, and becomes Grand Moff Tarkin. So this is really the big moment that season 2 of Andor is leading up to. This is going, and it could happen these next 3 episodes, because they're clearly setting this up. And honestly, I feel like this moment right here should have been the focus of the 3 episodes. Is that episode 2, episode 3 really needed to focus in on what the Empire is doing on Gorman and the artifacts that they're harvesting from the core of the planet, and Dedra's plan, because she's clearly a savage, and Kenrick is gonna use her savagery to take over those sources. What do you guys think about it? Now that I've kind of given you I don't know if you guys knew about the Gorman massacre. Now that I've kind of given you the picture of Star Wars history of what we're leading up to, do you feel already that the first 3 episodes of Star Wars did not focus on the right thing?
You want to go first, bro, Corey?
I'll let you go first, unless you want me to go first. You want?
Why don't you go first? I'm still collecting a little bit of thoughts, if you don't mind.
Yes, I would say you're absolutely correct, Trey. Like, I feel like kind of like what the super chat said too. Like, I loved Andor season 1. The first 3 episodes were a little slow, and the first portion of the season was slow in Andor, but it turned out to be a phenomenal story. This time it seemed like we put Andor on the back burner, on standby, like you said, and we started focusing on a bunch of different collection of stories where different characters are and everything like that. So I think you bring up a fantastic point that it really missed. Maybe how long ago was that battle, Trey? Did you say before this?
Are you talking about the Gorman massacre?
Yeah, how long?
2 years battle before Yavin. So technically, we're 2 years away from it.
Okay, so it hasn't happened yet.
It has not happened yet. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, maybe it could have done a better job of kind of like showing, the conflict that's starting to happen there, a little bit better, because war didn't just break out, overnight. There was clearly some, struggles leading up to it. So maybe it could have kind of focused on that portion of it being such a big moment in Star Wars history. I think it would have been a lot better than just constantly showing Andor stuck on a planet by himself, really not contributing anything. So it should have started to lead up to the battle in Gorman, and maybe that's what the next 3 episodes are going to be, but I don't know how you do it. So yes, I think you're right, Trey. I think they should have done better there.
At least at I think the focus putting more on exactly what the Empire did to create some of those uprisings, to anger people, to propaganda, all those tactics, to see them go into action, rather than, I hope it's not an afterthought. Granted, we're not there yet, but to me, focusing on Cassian being captured by these 2 rebel cells that aren't getting along at the moment because they're hungry, and playing rock, paper, scissors, I think is just kind of a silly thing to waste so much time on.
Because, do we really know why the Empire's bad? What makes the Empire so bad? And it reminds me of like the Roman Empire and everything like that, when they spread their power and everything like that, and they were grabbing more and more land and control of all these people, just like in biblical times with Jerusalem and everything like that. One of the things that they allowed for is they allowed people to kind of keep their way of life. They allowed people to still worship who they wanted to worship, and all you really had to do was pay taxes and everything like that to them. So I think they need. We obviously know why the empire is the way that is, but like Andor season 1 and showed us, like the politicians, they don't really care. We saw, and it was one of the things that I really liked about Andor is, the politicians, they kind of, politicians are slimy, of course. They are going to go with who's ever the person in charge is. So like it was interesting seeing like how, Mothra and other people, like the high society is, they're kind of down with the Empire, but like they may, as well as the same people that were, down with the Galactic Republic and everything like that. So it's like, I think they definitely need to do the Empire. They need to show why the Empire is bad. But we know why they're bad. We know the background to it. But like, I think they could do a better job of like, the politicians can't set aside from what's about to happen in a couple of years with this massacre. You say?
Yeah.
See, that's where I want to dive in on. With I feel like that whole meeting where the Imperials and then some businessmen were talking about the importance of certain minerals and the energy that leads up to the massacre. The thing that I feel that they shied away from for whatever reason, or I don't know, but like you said, they need to show the gravity of why the Empire is so bad. My worry is that the reasons for the massacre might come a little accidental or last minute, because the thing is, a lot of the violent things happening in the Middle East in the like mid 1940s to late 1960s, there's documentation that to kill a certain amount of people has been planned and discussed in 1915. So it's more than the importance of minerals, and that's in a place that's already occupied, that's already amongst people. It's more than that. They talk about what they would have to do, X, Y, and B, and Z, and they talk about like going above and beyond and like slaughtering a lot of people ahead of time. It's not like a last minute thought. This is something that they would cover immediately, because they think 10 steps ahead, 20 steps ahead, and what they have to do and what they have to prepare. That whole dark conversation they could have had here and set the tone and the threat of what they do, because the thing is, the Empire is premeditative on a lot of things. Like, go back to when they blew up Alderaan. They knew that they could test it on a planet. They are willing to do mass murder on a huge galactic scale. And because George Lucas took inspiration from World War I, World War II, Vietnam. He's very heavy on Vietnam. If you look at his talks with James Cameron about these things. So I worry that Disney, maybe their political reasons, that they'll shy away from these reasons and give us fluff instead, and they'll avoid certain conversations for some reason, because there's a lot of dark stuff that happens even today that I'm wondering if they're going to avoid. And if they do that, that might be what we're seeing that might hurt the series, because they could go really heavy, and surprised how soft they went about it, or just let it in the background, because they wouldn't just talk so little about one thing of resource and avoid or not talk about all possible means and forces of action to do that with muscle. So that's something I found very lazy, ignorant, or maybe on purpose. I don't know. They don't want to go there, and you have to go there when you tell such a story, especially with mass murdering people.
Yes, absolutely, Coach. That was well said. I think the thing that I liked about Andor is that it's not Star Wars. To me, it's Star Trek. You know, this is a very Star Trek style of Star Wars, and I know people kind of they don't like that comparison, but it is. It's more political. It's more the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. Deep conversations and such like that. But it seems like they sometimes tiptoe maybe a little bit too much. And I like what Darth Starkiller says. He's like, I do like seeing the political side of the Empire and how they maintain control and oppress the Republic. I think that's something that they need to recognize is such a strong theme about their series that they need to play into that more.
Because this massacre is going to show war crimes, and when people responsible for war crimes get promoted, that's not by accident. That's premeditation. It's like, okay, you did this, you found this, we're going forward. That's what they've been doing for a while in the last 100 years. Yeah. All the guilty people in power, and that's exactly what the Empire is supposed to represent. So they should do that and address that. And we should see that more.
Great takes all around, guys. Oracle's Clock Tower with a $10 super chat coming in saying, Pat Channel laying down some history from a galaxy far, far away to give us some crazy insight. Thanks for all the research. I was up at 6 a.m. this morning doing that also.
Oh, man!
I appreciate it. Thank you. I gave up some sleep for it, but it was worth it because I love getting some insight on it. I mean, some of the stuff I did know about the Gorian massacre, but now understanding its bigger part in the history of it and seeing it come to life, it's weird to say I'm excited to see how it goes down because I know how important it is, even though it's such a terrible moment. I just hope we don't lose it by wasting time doing silly things that don't really elevate the story, and we'll get into that more. But Oracle's Clock Tower, thank you so much again for your $10 super chat. Corey, can you play Oracle's Clock Tower? A little something to say thank you.
We got you, Oracle.
Size matters not. Look at me. Judge me by my size, do you?
A little bit more insight from Yoda Trey. Well done. I agree with you. You did a good job, really good job preparing for this.
Hey, I tried.
Oh yeah, man.
Now let's go ahead. That's kind of where it's setting up all the chess pieces, right? Which first episode should always do that. Now let's talk about episode 2 with this little arc. Episode 2 titled Sigourney Tima, which is basically a Kandelian toast that from Mon Mothma's planet. Now we know Tay and Mon Mothma, their relationship is becoming difficult. It's a complicated situation because we know Tay is dealing with a divorce. He's really put himself on the line by covering up Mon Mothma's finances from season 1 that could get him in treasonous trouble with the Empire and have him murdered, executed, put on display in such a way to be made an example of. And in a way, maybe Mon Mothma thought of their relationship as too friendly, and now it's become something she did not expect or intended it for it to get that way. And Tay has starting to become a liability and is now reaching out to some people that even Mon Mothma can't quite trust, like Skolden, who is clearly an Empire sympathizer. He is with them all the way. And the person that her daughter's gonna have to marry his son, so it's that union. So she knows the dangers of Skolden and the fact that Tay is becoming closer of an ally towards him and the damaging information that he has over her. So Luthen is paying very, very close attention. But one thing I do love is while Luthen, who also was one of the best parts of Andor season 1, we see him once again he's playing every game, right? Playing every game possible to be a listening ear, to be kind of this godfather of the underworld of the rebellion, to ensure everything goes as planned. And we're in this weird stage where nothing's starting to work out. And the this the importance of not breaking radio silence so that way you can know what's going on because someone else could be listening. There's all these different things going on, and I love that we do get that fear factor from the rebellion, that if they do have to do a simple thing as giving a call or getting an update or a text message of what's going on with their current operation to steal that prototype TIE fighter, and they can't get a hold of Cassian or Bix, and all they can do is just sit there, especially with the equipment they have on that planet of Crandillian, because he's Luthen is doing something for Skolden for the wedding as a gift. So that's why he's there, but I'm sure he interjected himself there so that he could pay close attention to some of the higher powers of the Galactic Senate. So Luthen, seriously, I love, there's so little details that he gives with just being in the environment of the situation going on that really tells you how clued in he is to the ground on all these things. But we know from the little information we do have is that the Empire is currently auditing Mina Rao, which is one of the planets that is an agricultural world that Bix and Brasso are on while they wait for Cassian. And my wife just came in. Hi, hon. Love you. But all these different things, we know Cassian, he's still captured by those rebel cells who are hungry and thirsty and idiots and solve their problems through rock, paper, scissors. Yeah. And basically at the end of episode 2, we find out that Cassian, once he's able to escape from those idiot rebels, that he was on none other than Yavin. Yavin 4, ladies and gentlemen, yes. We know that that rebel faction is on where was the home base for the rebels in Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, because we see the Masasi Temple as he flies away. So that's really all that happens in Episode 2. Nothing too crazy. You get my point. Episode 2 was very fluff. There's some intriguing things, but we really could have handled that in 10-15 minutes of another episode if we got rid of other fluff.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys want to talk about anything of episode 2? Was there anything else interesting to you guys?
I think episode 2 is the meat of the problem, and the meat of I don't know, everything was stretched too thin. I would have told these first 3 episodes totally differently. Like, if this was a story that they had to give us, I would have rewritten the, what do we call, I don't know, those incompetent rebels. They're not even rebels, they're like I don't even know what they are, but I would have had shot everything, because everything didn't really give us a lot. Like, every time we saw a scene, it just gave us enough and then left us hanging with like to be continued later in the other one. So what I would have done, I would have shot the first episode with Cassian all on that planet and having more of a scuffle, like he gets away from those guys, and then they have their little Civil War mutiny thing, and then he's fighting or shooting, attacking both sides to try and get back to the ship, and that's how that ends. And then I would have had like the second episode be mostly on that planet, deal more with the people, and also cut back to a little bit of the wedding starting, and then the third episode would be mostly the wedding, or have the second episode be mostly a wedding, and then bits of it end with the third episode. But either way, you have the planet stuff in the middle or the third one, and then everything comes together in the end. And I would have had the Coruscant couple, I would have had that story told on the second episode where they're together, and then have the meeting in the third episode. So by the ending of the wedding, everyone's like, oh, something's amiss, and we have to talk about it later on Coruscant. And then we also get that meeting with the Empire saying we need this and this and this. Oh, so that's where the stakes are going. And then Cassian finally shows up. I think that would have made use of the 3 episodes, because again, the second episode was kind of weird, because this is a story of like I could have done in 2 episodes and they stretched it out. And I go back to my other thing, they could have gone deeper. And when they don't go deeper, I feel like they get all this fluff in between. Everything was just kind of stretched out. This was like a long teaser. So episode 2, this feels like a 2-parter of episode 3. I didn't even say much because it was mostly the wedding, right? And
yeah, preparing for
hanging
the
out
wedding,
with
kind
mom
of
at the- yeah.
yeah.
This one was hard.
Episode 2 was definitely a very, very slow burn for sure.
Yeah.
Super Bro, your thoughts?
Yeah. Episode 2 was tough, man. It was not very great. I wouldn't say it was good even. There was a lot of pointless themes here. A lot of themes that was completely unnecessary, like you pointed out. And why do we have to watch them play rock paper scissors for so long? What's the point of that? Especially when there was there's other stuff that we clearly talked about that they could have gotten into, like you said. I'm sorry, is this the rise of the resistance, or are we playing rock paper scissors? It was very just like
They had 3 rounds, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
3 rounds. I don't okay, maybe one if you won't absolutely have to, but cut to something else, and just goodness gracious, this is the beginning of my complaint about this series is called Andor, Cassian Andor. It's supposed to be kind of focused and revolved around him, but it's also, in the trailer, they played that great Revolution song. The Revolution starts now, and no, it's not. No, it doesn't. We're too busy playing rock paper scissors and wasting valuable time in only a 12 episode series. So you can't have a completely miss of an episode, which episode 2 clearly was. That's a big percentage of story that is not needed. So as well as we'll talk more about episode 3 here shortly. So it was a waste.
And I think for me, knowing that the Gorman massacre is on its way, and how that moment is what unites the rebellion, I could see trying to tell a short story of how the rebel cells all around, like Saw Gerrera, obviously what Maya Pei, who is the leader of this Yavin 4 resistance, I'm trying to tell a story of how they're disconnected and how they don't work together and how there's a lot of infighting within them. However, I don't feel like that was the best use of time to tell that story. To use it as a comedic way to show that Cassian is literally, he's sitting there and wondering, how did I get captured by these idiots? Are you going to use that tarp to get water? You say you're thirsty, get some water. Go get food. Well, there's the animals out there. Okay, well, you're going to have to figure something out. Why aren't you paying attention to this, other resistance rebel team that you're in fighting with? All these different things. It just really felt like he felt trapped by a bunch of morons who were constantly arguing, that it was used in a comedic way that felt pointless, like Joker's Wild said here. And I think there's some other type of story they could have showed that showed the disconnect, the unified rebellion at the core at the moment, to give us that feeling that when this moment does happen and we do get that declaration of rebellion from Mon Mothma, that it is a unifying thing that happens, that we see them all come together. But now you just made it difficult to imagine, like the butler said, that these different rebel cells full of idiots, all we really know that Cassian and Luthen's group that he has in his arsenal area, I guess you say, and Saw Gerrera, they're really the only ones that have some sort of rebellion that are doing any type of damage to the Empire. The rest are just useless at this point. So it does make it hard to believe that these groups could even have a shot at taking down the Empire. So I agree. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get to episode 3, which I think episode 1 and 3, those were the biggest episode. Episode 3 definitely kind of kicks things into a bit of I call it the consequences episode, the thing that we're starting to see the cause and the effect of. And episode 3, Harvest, it's not without its weird moments that we didn't need anything of, but to get back to Mineral, where Kellen, who is the old gentleman who's helping out Brazo, let's go. Yeah. We get these weird moments where Brazo, he gets the heads up, right, that the Empire is going to be doing an auditing on that planet, and they're going to be checking all the visas on people who are there to see if they can root out any rebels that may be harboring in disguise on that planet. So he gives them fake emergency work orders to get out for a little bit so maybe they can avoid the Empire, but you know how that'll eventually go down. There's this moment at the wedding where Mon Mothma gives her daughter a way out of tradition. We knew from season 1 that she did not want to unify this family with Skolden's family through that wedding and give her daughter up because she knew kind of the scum that Skolden is. And in that moment, her daughter Lita humiliates her, says, "I wish you were drunk like your mom on your wedding day, because how dare you give me this way out," even though she was having an issue with her fiance, not just the episode later. So I think what they're really doing is showing that Mon Mothma, she is trying to be a good mom, and in a weird way, when she does try to go and join the rebellion, she fully commits to it. It will somewhat give us ease when she does, because her family was not very good to her. But it will still be a sacrifice because she's giving up her family, which deep down she does not want to do. Now, the part that gets weird is this whole situation. We learn that Surreal and Dedra, our boy Orc and Bean's favorite character, Surreal, they are together, and they decide to have Surreal's mom, Eddie, over Edie to have dinner with them. And we get this really weird power struggle between the two alpha females, with little beta Surreal. It felt useless, it felt pointless, but we do kind of get to see a very manipulative, dark side of Dedra. I just don't know. My issue with this entire scene is I no longer know where they're going with these two characters. It feels like Surreal at some point is going to snap and become something terrifying, that like he's gonna put maybe not the women in their place, but like he's gonna put the world in its place for him, oppressing him and beating him down to this submissive male that is just, he sucks at everything he does. I mean, you could see at work he's starting to have those moments, but I just don't, in terms of where his character falls in the grand scheme of the story, I don't see it. I don't see it believable at this point. What's your guys' thoughts, I guess, to discuss that moment with Dedra, his mom, and where are they going with Surreal? Do any of you have theories?
I don't know where you're going to, where I have requests. Like, I want Surreal to like have a nervous breakdown with the stress of being with these two women in his life who are closest to his life. They're literally his family now, and that they stress him out so much that he does something good for the rebellion, either by accident or out of like a meltdown, or he does something extremely horrible, or something where his woman, I'm forgetting her name. Let's say something. What's her name? The blonde one?
Dedra.
Yeah, Dedra. Yes, of course, Dedra. Like, ooh, the undead. Yeah, there has to be something that elevates their contribution to the massacre coming up. Either to help the rebels by accident or to make it worse. There has to be some buildup to them having a moral reaction or immoral reaction to one key point thing that they would contribute to. Because I don't really see where they are in the grand scheme of things at all at this point, you know, other than like filler to avoid focusing on more important matters, which is what I feel like the rock, paper, scissors gang were. They feel like last minute story arcs to avoid the bigger picture, which they could go really hard with this show. I feel like characters like the rock, paper, scissors people are elements of this awkward love story in the Empire we don't really get. Like, are they supposed to show us how the height of happiness is if you follow the rules of the Empire? Like, this is the best they could give you, falling in line as you move up and you're still never happy? Are they the representation of the standard quota of what it is to be loyal to the Empire and you're still miserable? Like, there has to be something deep with that, because I'm like,
Yeah.
9 left. It's just like there has to be some meaning to that. Otherwise, it's just another filler waste of time. If it doesn't move to something pivotal or of a breaking point, or that they go deeper with it. Otherwise, it's just filler.
Out of curiosity, what do you see for Surreal being that moment? Like, Dedra basically put his mom in submission, and you know, now she's gonna be kind. She's gonna, and he overheard it all. He was on the bed in the next room listening to her basically say, like, "Hey, here's the deal. I'm gonna make him go see you every now and then." And
do you think he heard
being
that?
a punk? I feel like if he didn't,
when he came, like, he seemed surprised at the mom's behavior.
Maybe
I don't know if he was
I don't know.
lost and was like, you know, maybe he's doing too much of that. I don't
In
know.
the fetal position. I don't know. It's such a weird storyline that I don't know exactly what's his like. In season 1, it was clear to me, like, he's gonna have an evil redemption arc. Like, he's really gonna become the big bad, and maybe he will, but he's kind of in a position where he no longer fits that mold anymore. It's really Dedra who's going to become this evil, malicious thing because she's heading up the operations on Gorman.
Because he helped Dedra stay sane in that one moment. She broke down and she lost her strength, you know? So maybe that's why she keeps him, so she could be stronger. Because he's the one weak kind of guy who kept her sane in her moment of weakness. Like, he's the only one who witnessed it. So if she controls him, she can control her own personal weakness. It's like a projection thing, maybe, too.
Yeah. Super Bro, your thoughts about the whole DJ Surreal and Edie dinner and where are they going with them?
Man, Surreal and is a pretty bad character. I'm not a fan of him. I'm becoming more and more like Cody every day, where this guy has to go. I love what the Butler just posted here. Their story is almost dumber than the Acolyte.
Almost.
Hashtag work was right. You guys are all right on point. I think that, like, I guess here's my worry. They're showing us way too much of these characters that if something epic doesn't happen, I'm going to be upset. Whether it's super for the Resistance or super for the Empire, like it needs to be a straight up massacre level of stuff that actually happens. But what is Surreal's role right now? He's not even a real high level player in the Empire. Really, it's just a Dedra.
He's a manager of
Yeah, like what are you doing? So it's like
customer service.
Yeah. Exactly, it's customer service.
To be a manager.
Yeah. It's like I don't know how they would have a big role unless something along the lines where, since Dedra is a bigger role, that maybe she accidentally tells Surreal something in confidence, and he, in a way to rebel against them both, joins the Resistance and stops a major massacre from happening. That's the only thing that I could potentially see happen. But like, if I just don't know. I don't know what they will possibly do, and I don't know if it's going to matter. Like, it's how big of a thing will it be? I don't know. Like, they're not the main characters. Why are we still spending such a long time at dinner with them?
Yeah.
Like, what is Surreal's job? The customer servicing. Do we know?
Oh, I can't recall. I
Does he
feel like it has
monitor
something to
account?
do with auditing. Like it basically, like not so much
Okay.
like financial things, but like basically picking apart reports and like seeing if there's any inconsistencies that are worth investigating, kind of thing.
So his role would be the only way, or possibility, because it's kind of vague. I don't know that he could see some inconsistencies to point out resources being allocated or stuff that doesn't add up. That would probably reveal something about the rebellion that would come to her attention. I don't know.
Possible.
But yeah, something needs to pop big time, otherwise they're a waste.
Yeah,
like rock, papers, asteroids, or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it is an interesting, like, it's just in terms of, I think someone said it during our watch party, it was like Star Wars family soap opera with those characters. Where it's like, I don't know if it's a story that needs to talk about like the relationships and the empire and like building that, like it's the family drama, but it is kind of an interesting, if you just look at it, like take away the fact of the grander scheme, the story of what's going on beyond them, and you just look at them as characters and the character development that they're going through. It is a bit interesting when you look at the reflections of Surreal's mom, Edie, and obviously the woman he's in love with, Dedra, because they're very much of the same coin. They tell him what to do. He follows orders, and I feel like at some point maybe he'll recognize that he's in a relationship with his mom or someone that resembles his mom, and that will make him go nuts, and he will finally, like, I just feel like if he continues to be this beta character, just tail between the legs, we need to see him truly come out of a shell, become a monster of a thing where he takes charge, where he flips the power table, you know, and he becomes what Dedra is, and maybe submits her. Because to me, it really does feel like there is a power story there that at some point for this character to come out of his shell, he's going to become something that's like untamable and almost like a rabid dog that is, you want to stay out of his way. Like if it doesn't become something like that, I just don't see what we're trying to tell through him. So I don't know. To be continued with their characters.
I do want to know what the over/under is on the fact that every time Orc sees Surreal Cassian Andor, how he goes to bed exactly like Surreal does in the middle picture there. You know for sure after that episode, Orc was laying in his bed like that.
Just like, why did they have to ruin Andor with that shit? Yeah, maybe. I could see that for sure. But I don't know. One of the cool things, though, another Easter egg that popped up and I feel like Star Wars, at least Disney Star Wars, is kind of building up to something, because there's been a lot of Easter eggs about this particular thing. But one of the wedding gifts that Dova Skulden unveils at the wedding is an ancient statue that was 25,000 years. It was stolen 25,000 years earlier by the Rakatan invaders. Now, this, if you don't know Star Wars Legends, or any of those books, the Rakatans were like a crazy empire long ago. They were ancient humanoid species that created hyperdrive tech. So they traveled around the space, and they were dark side users of the Force. And this like made them like super violent. They were ruthless conquerors of Force-rich worlds. So they've kind of teased it through Ahsoka. They've teased it multiple times through Andor and some other Star Wars shows, that I'm starting to wonder if all this bringing up the Rakatans, if at some point, maybe in the next Star Wars sequel trilogy that they decide to do, or something else, maybe through Ahsoka's season 2, that they don't start to introduce the Rakatans back into it, because they're out there somewhere lurking about. And once that empire returns, oh dear, we're in some major deep, because they did some messed up stuff. They would eat people and, you know, just take everything from them, completely annihilate different planets and invade them. So that could be cool. Luthen found the artifact. He was the one that put a rumor out there to Davos Skalden, and I feel like that was purposeful by Luthen to get closer with Skalden to see what he knows and what he's working on, because if he can kind of interject his seeds of espionage in there, the more information he has to make the decisions he needs to, because he knows Skalden is not a good dude. But yeah, cool little Easter egg from that little statue. But we learned that Tay is developing plans and working on financial dealings with Skalden. And Corey, go ahead and go to the next slide, please. And that basically Tay's price for loyalty and secrecy, Mon Mothma, she thinks she can pay him something. She thinks there's a dollar amount there, but Luthen keeps telling her, like, you already know the price. You know the price, and the price is we can't afford him. Like, he is too dangerous, and now it's time. He's become a dangerous pawn on that could be flipped to the other side. We need to take him out. So he kind of tells her in his secret way, where she even says to him, like, I don't understand what you're trying to say. And he's like, how nice it must be to be that ignorant. You know, the innocence you can keep from that. And I love that about Luthen. Luthen and Mon Mothma are very much the yin and yang of the rebellion and how they must function. He is the shadows of the rebellion, and she is the light of the rebellion. And I think that's what's so cool about their character. But he basically arranges for Tay to be assassinated with Cinta, giving him a ride home. And we know, here's the thing I get the sense of. Here's a theory or maybe a prediction I have. I don't feel like his assassination is going to go well. I just feel like because we didn't actually see it go down yet, and it just he's flying home, that something's going to go horribly wrong, and that somehow Tay might get away from it. What do you guys think?
I think they should have explored a little bit more of all this stuff, but the fact that Luthen has his people in close proximity to as the driver, I think they're just because they have to wait until what he has to say on Coruscant. You know what I mean? But he doesn't trust him, so he already has people in close proximity to probably pull the plug at any time. So I feel like Luthen's been ahead of the game, and he's trying to get Mon Mothma. I have to stop saying Mon Mothra. I like her saying Mon Mothra. It makes her more pretty than she is. And she's already pretty. But the thing is that I think he's got more things set around to get the job done. I feel like he really needs and is trying to get Mon to be up to date with the certain calls she has to make really quickly. Because I feel like it seems like from what they've shown, she still kind of has like this innocent rose-colored glasses outlook on trusting people, or trusting people who express interest in the cause. But then when they show another side she's not prepared for, it kind of takes her back. Where Luthen, he's pretty prepared for as a reflex, like defense mechanisms, like, okay, instantly trouble, we need to address this now. Kind of like how you were telling me earlier. We had a discussion probably a few weeks ago or whatever about, like, on The Walking Dead, there's a survival instinct where if someone threatens your pack, your team, your family that's trying to get through this crazy crisis, where you're surrounded by zombies that are going to get you, you can't afford someone being a liability to your pack. I feel like that motif of being surrounded by zombies and trying to survive is similar to being in a society where the whole government around you, they're all zombies to an ideology and they're trying to take out everybody. And you're trying to survive that, but it's more in a different situation. But that survival instinct, trying to protect your pack, your goal, your team is still the same. So he has that eye, she doesn't yet. And we might see this season 2 is probably that kind of chrysalis change of where Mon Mothma becomes a Mon Mothra, where she's you can't get through this on one side and not face the ugliness stuff and then make tough decisions when you have to, so if she thinks she could be on comfortably where she is and still make a difference without getting seen or getting shunned or slandered or caught or make a heavy decision to side with something where the whole government's against you, she's not ready yet, and she needs to get ready soon. So I think that's what Luthen is trying and can get to her. Like maybe her last dance at the wedding was her last dance of being ignorant, not in a negative way. I don't want to put her down, but her fluffy fantasy. That's her last dance in her little pretty world that she's trying to cling to, but is still not there.
Well, I think as you kind of pointed out, Coach, in a way, it's like her way of dealing with it. Like she knew when he said, like, you know what the price is, and she didn't want to admit to herself because she wants to hold on to the idea of good. It is a lifelong friend. It is someone she has cared deeply about. And in all honesty, as her husband has kind of pointed out throughout the last couple of episodes, is that there may have been romantic interests at one point before her arranged marriage to her husband. And so I think for her, it's a heavy loss and a heavy price. And it's kind of that, if she could just like you said, the last dance, to like have that last moment of letting it go, forgetting about it, not letting it, but it's that guilt. She's doing everything she can. She's drinking, she's dancing, just trying to get lost from the truth of the ugliness of what the rebellion is going to cost her and what it's going to take to beat the Empire. Like I read somewhere in the chat where someone was talking about, Luthen's ruthlessness. He is damned for what he does because he uses the tactics of his enemies. Just from his speech in the first one, he's become them, right? In a way, to fight the fire, you have to have fire. Sorry, go ahead.
Which I love that Luthen's ruthless. I love the fact that he's become the enemy of his enemy. Trying to really match that level, because if you think about it, this is a crazy time point in the Star Wars era where Vader and Sidious and everybody is just straight. The Emperor, they're straight up working people over. They're not holding back at all. Yeah. So right now, they're doing whatever they possibly can, and what Luthen's realizing is it's not enough. That he has to match that level of ruthlessness, because there's not a hope yet. There's no hope. So it's not until we get a new hope that things start to really shift its way for the resistance. So that's why I like this dark grittiness era of the rebellion, where it's dysfunctional. It's not working well or working right, and they're not working together because there's no hope yet.
That's key.
Out of curiosity, just to bring up this point, do we ever see a moment where maybe Luthen's methods and Mon Mothma's fantasies about how she would like the rebellion to be against the differences between them and the Empire, do you ever see them butting heads, or do you see that Mon Mothma at some point is going to realize she's going to have to conform to his tactics?
I think both. I think you can't have one without the other, because everything's reactionary. This is the battle, the course of resistance to have freedom and then take out an evil empire. Even before the war, that is a war. So they got to battle like their ideologies, their faiths, their tactics, their let go of their rose-colored glasses, and then also when you are getting nitty-gritty, not to, truly become the enemy. You can't sacrifice all that is good when you're trying to save good. You know what I mean? So they are going to need each other if they're going to balance this out. Like Luthen, as ruthless as he is, he cannot go down too far, otherwise he's going to lose his humanity, the whole point of what he's trying to protect. And that's what someone who's so light, as you said, can provide, and vice versa. You cannot attack the empire that's so strategic and fine, well-oiled war, like industrial complex, human slaughtering machine functions. You can't stop that with a bunch of rose-colored glasses tactics either. So she needs him as much as he needs her, as every free sentient being in the galaxy needs. They need to, like you said perfectly, yin and yang, and they need to fit and then work together to help each other out with where they're missing. And if it's one or the other's way, I don't think it's going to work. So we're going to see that both sides challenge. I just hope they tell it very well. Right now.
Yeah, I agree. Your thoughts on that, Corey?
Yeah, I think they have to keep it the way that it is. That, like you said, like Good Soldiers Follow Order 66 said, Bat Channel said perfectly. Mon Mothra is the light of the rebellion, and Luthen is the shadow. The thing that I like about that is, technically, the rebellion, the resistance, they are, the good guys. They are, as much as New Disney tries to, kind of grade those lines, they are the good guys. So we need somebody like Luthen to kind of handle, the darkness of what the rebellion's going to have to do in order to make a dent against the Empire. Yeah. But we need somebody like Mon Mothma to be able to show us why they're still the good guys, So if it's just evil fighting against evil, then it's like, oh, which side do you want to pick at that point? Like which side is politically running the galaxy the best. So you need that good personality to remind us, okay, yeah, this is why the resistance is good. They're walking kind of a fine line right now with sending people on these missions to die and everything like that. So it's like they need to keep that life, that trueness to the resistance in order to give people hope to follow them. So yes, I think they need to continue with the yin and yang, the balance between the two. Otherwise, what are we fighting for? Yeah,
and I think unfortunately, like you guys so eloquently put it, is that they do need each other, because with her being the face of the rebellion, she's gonna have to keep her hands clean, at least like what it looks like on the outside. She can be there, the hopeful, the inspiration, the cheering, but you need someone in the shadows who's gonna, in this case, for as bad as the Empire is, him being in the shadows doing these things that are necessary to bring down this evil tyranny. In a way, if anyone sees what she's doing, I think people are going to ask the question, how are you different? How are you different from the Empire? So she is going to have to, while she knows deep down the truth of it, and Luthen does I think there's a part of him that wants her to understand clearly and to bear the weight with him. of what he's doing, but I think he also understands that he has, which is why he never fully says it to her. Like, you know the price, but he doesn't come out and say, I'm taking him out, I'm killing him. You know, he's going to keep her as clean and separated from this as possible. But at some point they are going to need each other to be more involved with, with what they're doing. So their relationship is freaking awesome. It's truly the best part of Andor, that if they focused more, and in a crazy way, like someone said earlier, their show is not, the Andor show, these first 3 episodes has not really been about Andor. It's been about Mon Mothma and Luthen in a way. So I could see that happening more in season 2. At some point, Andor is going to have to jump in, and we're going to need to see him do some more rebellious stuff or espionage stuff, which I think we're gearing up. Like I said, this was all about setting up the chess pieces. So a slow burn with glimmers of hope, for sure.
I'm afraid that this is a piggyback off something you said. For Mon Mothma to realize the gravitas of what they have to sacrifice, I think that might hit a point where it'll cost Luthen's life some great sacrifice.
I agree.
And then where she's full on face of rebellion and she's in hiding, you know?
Yeah, which I think in a way that we kind of know happens, right? Like, to me, unless if the fact that we never heard or have seen Luthen essentially after these events, right? Like, he's never brought up in Rogue One, he's never brought up in Episode 4, I think is telling. And the fact that he's never appeared in the comics, at least, of after the fact of these events, I do think, unfortunately, his luck will run out.
Yeah, because I'm always looking at this story from the first story I knew about getting the Death Star plans, which was Kyle Katarn getting orders from Mon Mothma.
Yeah.
Now Kyle Katarn is really erased, or who knows where he is now in this timeline. But Andor and all the rebels are doing what Kyle Katarn was doing, except he's not having our Kyle Katarn, which is Cassian. He's not getting orders directly from Mon Mothma. We're having Luthen in the middle. So how they broke it down of that story, I feel like is another part that I find interesting with Andor, because they're retelling it, but still kept keeping that you have the support from the political side from Mon Mothma people and the rebels. But then was Kyle, now is Andor. We hear Mon Mothma would connect with Luthen. So they're breaking it down a lot more. And seeing how that ended or where it led up to, it's kind of interesting seeing how they're doing it this way, retelling it with so many different characters.
Yeah, I agree. Well, as we know, Tay is probably heading towards his death. He's run out his usefulness and is now.
You think he's going to die soon?
Maybe. I don't know. I think we do need to see. I do think we need to see the act of it happening, just because it kind of will remind us and put us in that place of some of the hard things the rebellion and, more importantly, Luthen has had to do.
What if he's responsible for that TIE fighter? What if he's doing both sides?
That's an interesting take.
He's like, something took a big hit, and then it started with losing the prototype TIE fighter, and by the end of the wedding, he's like, plans have changed, I gotta leave early.
That's intriguing. I don't know. We'll have to see. But here's where we get the focus then kind of goes back onto Mina Rao, where the harvesting is going on. We know the Empire is on the heels of Brasso and Bix, and actually her encounters with this officer of the Imperial forces goes horribly wrong. We get a bad vibe from this guy from the get-go, from the first time we see him, and the way he looks at her. It's something that we know has happened in many wars, especially.
He's trying to use the Force.
No.
And it gets to that place where he does try to take advantage of her, but I was so glad that I always find those scenes so hard to watch. They bug me. It bugged me in Rebel Moon. It's bugged me in Inglourious Bastards, which we were talking about that in the episode where it's like, oh dude, this is totally Inglourious Bastards. This is that scene where this imperial officer of the Nazis are trying to get with this girl and she has no interest with him, but he's not taking a hint.
You can, like, when we watch Law Abiding Citizens, we usually skip like the first portion, like you've talked about, in Law Abiding Citizens.
Oh yeah, I can't do that. See, it grosses me out and it makes me uncomfortable. But glad to see Bix didn't allow anything to go down. We know she's a fighter, and especially she's dealing with PTSD from her torture scenes that she had in season 1, and it was nice to see her fight back and not allow this to go down, even though it put the rest of her team in a bad spot because they're calling in reinforcements because this dude got taken out, which damn straight. I'm glad it was brutal. I'm glad she beat the hell out of him. But now that it's action packed, right? We know the Imperial forces, everyone's in a tight spot, but to our luck, Cassian comes to save the day in his new prototype TIE fighter, but it's not quite in time as we lose one of our main characters from season 1. Brazo is unfortunately killed, which is heartbreaking all at the sense, and we could tell that one really hit Andor in a place where like you could tell he was losing a good friend. And we'll maybe see the after effects of what that situation brings, but he's able to get the rest of the rebellious team out of there in their new TIE fighter into whatever adventure. Technically, if the rumors are true, we're supposed to jump another year now. It's kind of crazy to me because when I look at this as when you take out all this situation as it's a 3-part movie essentially. This is the arc for this year. I don't know. To me, it feels like we had talked about earlier, is that there was a lot of filler in this and maybe could have gotten this story done in 2 episodes. What's your guys' thoughts now that we've seen the end of episode 3? If you want to talk about Brazo's death or anything of that, like go ahead and kind of give your general thoughts.
I don't want it to be a year jump because I feel like I still want to see what they're going to talk about on Coruscant with our dude. I don't know. It's very, with how drawn out it is. They really need a banger in episode 4. So, because I feel like they teased the stakes when they should have raised the stakes. You know what I mean? And I feel like if they do a year gap, are we gonna find out what? Because the whole thing is, I don't mind a year gap if they didn't really tease that they need to talk in detail when they get back to Coruscant. That's the only thing that's making me feel uncomfortable about a year gap. I feel like we're missing some key conversation there. That a year gap, would that help it? Would that answer that? I don't know. But I really, really want to see where this goes because of how they're gonna lead up to that massacre and such. So yeah, I'm just kind of lackluster because of just the pacing of it and what they covered it. But a year later would help us with the whole relationship with the couple with Deidre and Cyril. I think passing a year, that story will be fine. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Other than that, I really want them to continue raising. I want them to completely raise the stakes in episode 4. That's one thing I'm looking forward to because they did too much of a little tease. They gave it. There's something there, but they could have gone harder. And I feel, what if they did go harder? Just like we're just victim to some things changing or being stretched out a little too long, the Disney way. If anything, I would say like Cassian when he crashed on that land with not just a rebellion, but the goof troop of goofy rebels or whatever. That
I like that.
I feel like that goof troop represents Disney, and Cassian represents Star Wars, and he's captured and he's in control by all this goof troop Disney people doing not Star Wars things, but rock paper scissors, corny stuff and whatever. That's the state of Disney Star Wars right there.
It kind of felt like the Marvel comedy that they like interject in like wrong moments. Like often criticism that I have with Marvel movies and Disney is that sometimes they interject comedy where it's not needed, or it ruins the greater tone of what's going on around them. And it felt like that to me. Like it was interjected there because someone said, "Oh, this would be a great for like a little bit of lightheartedness to, because we're Disney, we're a kid show,
That kind of forced the kid part in an odd part in a show that we've already accepted isn't the kid part of the Disney kid show. So it was just like that hurt it all. That's one thing I'm looking for. No more goof troop crap.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
your general thoughts.
Yeah, no, this was an interesting 3 episodes. It was a lot of fluff, which it didn't need to be fluff. It left me questioning Andor again, like we saw how it ended and how it worked through the season. In season 1, it was great. It started off slow. I talked about it at the very beginning. Why do I care about Cassian Andor when I know what happens to him? Is this storyline really going to hit? Well, I ended up loving it towards the end. So the thing that frustrates me is that it's a 12 episode and it felt like there's a little bit too much fluff. Episode 3, I think kind of like what you said, Trey, with like the Disney side of things, the humor side of things, they try to interject those funny moments and try to make it for kids. But Andor, in my opinion, is not for kids. I don't think kids would really understand Andor, and it just doesn't work, for the younger audience. So, and clearly, just like the reason why this season is getting so much hate right now, specifically for their scene where the guy was trying to force himself onto Bix, which it just left like icky vibes there. But like I understand why people are actually hating on Disney right now for this scene, because in the grand scheme of things, it's still PG-13, PG-14, whatever the rating is. It's not rated R by any means. So like they're playing this like weird balance of like, this is super adult themes that even make adults uncomfortable, and yet interjecting it in a younger audience rating. So I understand the hate and dislike there. But then they put in these fluffiness with it that tries to make it light. It's confusing to me, and it makes me concerned about what's going to happen in this series. I'm nervous about like the year jumps and everything like that in between it.
Nervous, good word.
Because technically, we're supposed to see an assassination attempt. Does he just show up in episode 4 and it's they're still trying to kill this dude, like you said, Trey, where it didn't go well and things are escalating that realm. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I think the only thing that's keeping me hooked on a little bit is knowing that season 1 started like this, and that I'm wondering if season 2 is going to start like this. But here's the thing that really ticks me off: we had such a banner of last few episodes in season 1 that we could have started with that same intensity. End of season 1, the resistance, the rebellion was starting to rise, and in this trailer that they hyped us up for, they're like, the rebellion starts now, the resistance starts now, and yet not really. We're back into like the first 3 episodes of like trying to figure out what's going on again. Let's see the resistance, let's see the rebellion, let's start to see the craziness of it. We didn't need these fluffiness episodes that is frustrating. I know I mentioned it. Is there anything else you want me to hit on with that before I?
No. I think if you want to get into to kind of the one topic that you wanted to discuss, I know you were excited about, and you got some hate on social media, I heard.
Yeah. No, so we know that Star Wars and any content themes nowadays, it takes themes and everything like that from other content creators, like other movies, like other directors and such like that, but like it was funny during seeing like all the wheat fields and the harvest and everything like that. I said numerous times throughout the show that this is Rebel Moon. Like we're watching Rebel Moon right now, and maybe that's why I wasn't as thrilled about episode 3, because all the scenes that were like deep and impactful like that on the planet, it was Rebel Moon. I had already seen it already. It was like literally rewatching Rebel Moon, which I'm not saying that it's inappropriate for people to take items, to take themes and such like that. I think you could do better, when we saw the very beginning of them on the wheat field, I was like, this is looking very familiar, guys. This is Rebel Moon. And then we get the later that forcing upon himself on the woman, and and then she kills him. I was like, this is clearly Rebel Moon at this point. So maybe those scenes didn't hit as well for me on with Andor. I was kind of unfazed. Like, it wasn't impactful to me, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because I've literally seen the shot for shot vibes from Rebel Moon. I was like, this is Rebel Moon. And it's funny, somebody it was actually Leon of New Geeks who shared this clip, and I sent I just commented, retweeted to what he said, and it did blow up a little bit on Twitter, and people were pretty upset that I called it referred to Rebel Moon. But let me bring it up here for those who didn't see the clip. Let's get it up now.
If anyone follows Force Snyderverse on Instagram, they also saw it there. That's where I saw the comparison clip.
All right, so here it is. I'm gonna make a big screen real quick, and we're gonna play it. But this is just an interesting kind of vibe here. So,
is it on mute?
No,
just for copyright reasons.
Oh yeah, I probably should put it on mute, huh?
Yeah, probably. Thank you.
Yep. So we'll put it on mute, but we're gonna play it here. Like, even the shots and the scenes here, and
the pacing,
the framing, like Coach is saying, this is shot for shot Rebel Moon. And like I said, I don't mind when people take like some of the themes, but it was like this, when it's so close, when you try to borrow themes, it just looks it's nothing new. Like how close this scene was, it didn't excite me or didn't get me like, oh, whoa, you know, this is
like even on this part, like you see the clouds going on diagonal, you see that
Yes.
like little truck on diagonal, like the
Yes.
composition is like right there.
like it's and I know people started to get on me saying like, oh well, Rebel Moon stole from Star Wars, which cool, you know, like that. That's cool that you're saying that, but like, Rebel Moon was still its own thing, and while they may have taken like a little bit of suggestions, he made it into his own story. But this right here is literally shot for shot, frame for frame, like Kojay mentioned of that. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but like I was definitely getting some hate from people, which it didn't really watch Rebel Moon and didn't watch Andor as well, so it was funny getting the hate from them.
It's definitely interesting.
People hate that they didn't see either.
If anything, imitation is the greatest form of flattery, and
Sure.
we kind of talked about one of the things that we loved about Andor was it was a very adult version of Star Wars. It kind of felt,
Yes.
I think we even said in season 1 that it felt like if Zack Snyder did Star Wars, where it kind of was darker, it was a little heavier, and seeing Rebel Moon and its own thing, yes, it takes influences from other things, just like George did with Star Wars from Seven Samurai. And there was another one that you were saying, Kojay, that George Lucas took inspiration from.
Jam Bombers. It's an old
Jam Bombers.
World
Thank
War
you.
film.
But I think it just goes to show, like, yeah, there's definitely some similarities in a lot of those where you kind of go like, I wonder, it'd be almost cool to hear if Tony Gilroy, like, yeah, man, I watched Rebel Moon, loved it kind of thing. But I saw it too, Corey. Immediately when you said it, I was like, oh, wow, like that's crazy of how close those are. But seeing it, like when you put that clip up, it's like at that moment you kind of have to go like, oh yeah, there was definitely some storyboard and that was like, hey, that scene from this movie, like let's recreate that.
Well, like they read Zack Snyder's Star Wars script, and that doesn't mean
he did pitch it at one point.
Yeah, that means they know and have access to his ideas, and they could spin off those ideas too. Because remember that robot in Rogue One who was helping them, and he's like, here's a gun, I trust you with it. They could have inspired that guy from Jimmy, reading the script and all that. A lot of their female leads, like even Rey, could have been inspired by Korra. That Zack Snyder did. We don't know how many, even in Last Jedi when they were fighting on that Star Destroyer or whatever, and it was going down or whatever, that could have been like just little breadcrumbs of how the ending of Rebel Moon Part 2 was going to be like, but they didn't visually see it. They just got a little bit of the idea and went off of it. So who knows? They could have ripped off a lot of stuff from Snyder, but not knowing the full picture. And then, maybe it's habitual to take stuff from him still. There you go. Thank you.
Oh yeah, K2SO. Yep, that droid. That's kind of an interesting thought. I don't know. I guess we'll never know the true story behind that. But kind of fascinating. I thank you for sharing that, Corey. It's kind of crazy how.
Yeah, I almost wished I said it because in the actual show, because I wasn't surprised when later on we see like the guy trying to force himself on the girl. And that there's a fight that breaks out here. I was waiting for it at this point, so it like nothing was like as much of a shock factor Disney tried to do with that. I wasn't shocked, or I wasn't like, oh man, this is intense. Like if they would have done that first, sure, but or they could have done it in a different way. But like when it literally looks shot for shot, frame for frame, like Kojay said, the exact same thing. I felt like I had already seen it. I was like, oh, I've seen this already. I know how this plays out.
Yeah.
I should have said something right then and there about like, okay, there's going to be this, and this. And we'll see what happens next.
Interesting. Now, guys, as we start to wrap up tonight's show, Kojay, let me roll out the red carpet from my Delta Squad boy.
Oh!
What you got coming up on the show? I know some things that's coming up.
Yeah. Some stuff with you guys. You guys are joining me for my Super Sentai co-watch party starting real soon, like either this week or next week. where you guys watch Super Sentai series with us. I give you links so you can check it out, and the plenty of information I give you on how to watch along with us. It's such a great time. We had such a ball with this, and we're going to do more. So that's going to be on Saturdays. And if you love the Bat Channel, you're going to see them all the time. You guys are the greatest co-hosts I could do this with. And I'm back on my podcast. I'm going to be doing more art streams. It's been crazy because I'm working on my own web series and film. So just trying to bring more to my channel, do more of the stuff that I usually do, and more movie co-watch parties. So that's something to look out for. So yeah, that's what I got going on my channel. Same old variety stuff. You know what's up. And but that's the soonest things coming up. The Super Sentai co-watch party, some co-watch parties coming up, my art streams and my podcast series. You could guarantee to see more of that. So thank you for cruising by too, because I talk about a lot of stuff and anything and everything. So thanks for supporting my craziness. And thanks for having me here. I love coming here, guys. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Coach J. Dean Classified asked which one. So he's
which one?
So
we are doing.
Okay, yep. You're gonna realize.
Yes, we are doing Abba Ranger. That's what we're doing.
Abba Ranger.
Dino Guts. And we're also doing the specials, the movies and crossovers, and the 20-year later reunion, and their crossover with Deck Ranger 2, which will be season 3. So, Dean Classified has already seen it. Nice. Hey, you get to rewatch it again. Yeah, if you've already seen it, what's cool is you get to watch and experience me, Trey, and Corey's first reactions. Because as much of a fan as I am of Super Sentai, I have yet to see it all. There's so much Super Sentai, and I also rewatch a lot of my favorites. So it takes me a while. So the cool thing on my channel, you either get to see me share how much I love something I've seen, or you see me see it for the first time with something that I love of this universe. So it's a great time, and it's a lot of fun. And I can't wait. I hope to see you there.
Well, guys, you know what to do. Subscribe to our boy Coach A. We have the link in the chat, and also a replay crew if you're watching in the description. So make sure you click on that and you watch. You subscribe to our boy. Corey, did you have something else you were about to say?
Subscribe to these.
Yeah. I'm super excited for Super Sentai Alpha Rangers. I'm definitely going to be watching it through again as well. Sad that we just filmed our last one.
The finale. It's all premiere style.
So that should be a fun series. So definitely make sure you check it out. I did want to ask one more question too, Trey.
Yes.
In regards to Andor for us and the panel. Episodes 1, 2, and 3. Did that do enough justice to bring you back for 4, 5, 6? Obviously, it's a little different being content creators, but did 1, 2, and 3 interest you enough of season 2 to bring you back? Curious what the chat has to say as well. How you guys are feeling.
All right, for me, 1, 2, and 3 did not make me want to come back and watch more. What makes me want to come back and watch more is still Andor season 1. That's how much I really like Andor season 1. Like, I think you mentioned it, Corey, that at the end of this, at the beginning of this, they should have picked up the momentum that Andor season 1 left us with, instead of like going back to the beginning. It's kind of like you play a sequel to a game, like let's say Batman or something, and all of a sudden you have to level up from 0 to 1 when at the end of the other one you already have all these abilities and you don't have them again, you know? So that's frustrating, and all the other points that we've brought up that we don't like or our criticisms, I think they shouldn't have been there with how they ended such a strong season. I felt a little slow burn, but you know, it had its own pace. But when you rewatch Andor season 1, which I got to do, it felt better. And this one, I can't say with these first 3 episodes. So the rest of it, all 9, have to kill it, because these 3 by themselves, if this was my first time watching the series for whatever reason, I would probably not continue. But I'm continuing because of season 1. So the next set of 3 episodes really have to get it. I mean, it's there, but it's not all there as it could have been and should have been. So I would say no for these 3 episodes. But the reason I'm in is still because of Andor season 1 and because of Rogue One.
How about you, Trey?
I like that question too, bro. You know, as I was looking. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, it's not a perfect show, but I like the show, just not these episodes.
Yeah. If it was by itself, like I read somewhere, someone said in the chat, if it was season 1, probably not. Yeah, if this was the first season, you know, other than being a content creator and like going through it, there's some intriguing things. Like you said, the massacre that is coming up is such a huge moment in Star Wars history that we've never got to see live action. That's what intrigues me. I can't wait until we get to. I mean, even though it's an awful moment, but knowing what it does for the rebellion, that's where you have me hooked. I'm curious to see. Like, I really do wish and hope that they go into those tactics that they discussed in their meeting. I mean, Orc and Beans even kind of talked about it, where they cut away from all their themes that they were discussing about how they were going to handle oh gosh, now I'm spacing it. Gorman.
Yeah.
That when they cut away with it, they immediately came back and they're like, well, we're just gonna take care of him. We're just gonna kill him. Yeah, there was like no discussion there, and I get that shows the cold, calculated things that the Empire just has no time to waste, and you know, so the easy answer, the easy solve is just get rid of them. But it would have been fun to kind of stay in that room a little bit longer and kind of hear all the things that they were doing. We did get the side of what the marketing was going to do to kind of create some propaganda and problems for them. But I really do think that is the focus of this season. Like it's the Gorman massacre. And now the next 3 episodes need to be all about it. You know, not to shy away from it. Go as deep and dark as you possibly want to in a way, it'll show the brutality of the Empire. All those people that said, you know, well, the Empire under their rule, you know, everything was organized, and you know, so maybe the Republic is wrong for, you know, letting the Empire, you know, destroying them. Well, that would end that debate if you had something like this at the Gorman Massacre and you saw exactly what they did and all the disgusting things they do to kill those peaceful people who had no fight in the game in the first place. That would be an intriguing story that I hope they get to. So to answer a short story, Corey, with your question, no, the first 3 episodes, I'm not entirely hooked, but because of season 1, I have a little more faith that second half of the season where things really start to uptake with this, that maybe we'll get that with Andor again. It seems that's a common theme with them.
Do we know, Trey, yet? I know they typically do a pretty good job at keeping it under wraps, but do we know what 4, 5, and 6 are titled yet?
I do not. I tried looking to see if they been released yet, and I think they're keeping it a secret. I think they won't notify you until it's been released.
Because I know you keep bringing up the Gorman massacre. If for whatever reason they don't show it, you know, like that's going to be a pretty big miss on your part.
If the Gorman massacre is treated like a news report, like this just in, you know, and it's played
or
through,
they kick off after it happened.
Yeah. Well, to me, it's like we need to see both sides. I think the brilliant thing would be, let's see eyes on the ground, a perspective of what actually happened on Gorman. And then if you wanted to do an episode where it was how the Empire spun it through media, telling them that these weren't peaceful protesters, these were, you know, terrorists, you know, who were uprising, which Dedra kind of hinted at, right? Like, hey, we are going to want to create a rebellious group there that is going to do things that we expect them to do, that they're going to take things up a notch, and they're going to give us a reason as the Empire to attack them so that we keep face. You know, she's planning out that chessboard right there to lead them into a trap of their own demise. And I think if we get both sides of that, I think you have an incredible story here, because in a way you have to take this moment as Mon Mothma, when she delivers this incredible speech that I think we see pieces of in the trailer. I think there's a reason why you're going to see some people who call her a traitor to the Empire and paint her as a bad person, when deep down we know Mon Mothma is a shining example of what the Republic could be and what it should be, versus, you know, the truth. So I think that's an intriguing thing to do. I would love that type of storytelling for sure. But we'll see. We'll have to see if it does really ignore it and doesn't really address it. We don't see it other than a news report. This show would definitely get a big L for me, in my opinion. But we'll see. What's the rest of the crowd saying, Corey? How did they feel about that question?
Yeah, a little bit different with what people are saying. Butler said he's going to check it out. Season 1 was fun, but it did not do it justice by any means. Joker's Wild said he will for us. If this was season 1, 9 Lives in Hell would not watch it. Trevor H agrees. Darth Starkiller Unleashed. I'm hooked. I love the show. It's not perfect. I'm glad Darth Starkiller's digging it. I like it. Yeah, I like Andor. I'm hoping that it delivers. Dark Jurassic says, I'm easy to please, so yes.
I appreciate that. Like he's being honest. That's cool. Yeah, well, great, man. I love hearing all these different takes, guys, especially as we have our watch party again Tuesday night, same time. We're gonna react with you guys, whether we like it, we don't like it. We're always going to be honest with you about how we're feeling with obviously, as we didn't like Acolyte. But we'll see how it goes. Maybe they have something really cool in store for us with episodes 4 through 6. So set your reminders right now for that show. I have it ready to go so that you guys can do that. And thank you so much, as always, for hanging out with the Bat Channel, the Delta Squad, with our boy Koj. Please go subscribe to him and subscribe to us. Help us get to 10K. We're trying to get to 10K so we can do more charity streams, which we love to do, and YouTube won't let us do that until we get to 10K subs. So you already know what to do. And just to prepare you guys, our doctor has told Sarah and I, Wonder Wife, that it could be any day for the next 2 weeks, really, of when we can expect our little baby girl. So there's a possibility that maybe during the watch party, you'll see Sarah run in and be like, it's time to go. And I'll have to just be like, we out. Or, I'll keep you guys up to date. I'll do a YouTube short or a little quick video clip that Corey can upload for you guys when the time comes. But we'll keep you guys up to date. But times are about to get crazy over at the Bat Channel. So appreciate you guys. We love you. Thank you so much. Smash a like, share this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to tune in weekly.
Same bat time.
Same Bat Channel. See you later, guys.
Have a good night, everybody.